So footwork in the golf swing. We've heard a lot about how the swing is from the ground up. Well, this is going to talk about one of the things that the feet do in the swing, and it's not so much of your side-to-side motion. Check it out. So this video for the feet is going to talk about how the feet actually help us create rotation. Not so much power from side to side, and not the fancy stuff today, which is kind of the up and down. This is more of the side to side, the rotational stuff. So I'm going to skip the backswing stuff and skip all the science stuff behind, why it's going in a certain direction, and kind of jump right to the practical of what I want you to try to feel. So in your downswing, when you start to make your downswing, I want you to feel as though that these are the directions that you're trying to push your feet. That you're trying to almost push your foot that direction and then push your foot in that direction. And there's a couple really cool videos that you can take a look at to see how this actually works. But what I'd like you to try and consider here is that when you make your backswing and you take it to the top of your backswing, that one of the initial moves to start your transition going forward is for you to feel as though that your feet start pushing into the ground in that direction and that direction. And it's going to almost give it like a bit of a twisty motion. But when you get that from the top of your swing and you start to pull your feet in those two directions and you push your feet in those two directions, your body's going to start to rotate. Your body's going to react to those two actions. So if we think about when the transition happens, and the transition happens when the body starts to twist into the ground differently, in the opposite direction of what they did in the backswing, whatever it was it did. So from there, being able to push my feet into the ground helps me transition my lower body first, starts to unwind my lower body, and when I'm ready, I can transfer my weight forward and finish up my golf swing. So trying to feel like from here, you can get a little bit of a move or a little bit of a pump, or you can feel like you can get your feet to push in those two directions. You can start to make a pretty smooth swing where you're going to feel like your lower body's leading the way. And that video I talked about on the internet is that kid that's hitting the ball from the ice, and he swings and he misses and then he hits the ice and he splashes through it. Well, you'll notice that the first thing that kid does is that when he swings, he loses his grip on the ground this way. Foot goes back. Ben Hogan talked about, or there was a famous shot, I want to say it's the 18th tee at Olympic Club, where Ben Hogan hit a shot and his back foot slipped out. So there's a gripping onto the ground in that direction in transition that's going to create a whole bunch of the rotational power. So kind of step one in how I'd like you to look at your feet. We've all heard about the right to left motion. The when that happens is going to come soon. And then how much and when we start to push up into the ground to extend to really get that club to go. That's the next step. So there's three things we can do. We can transfer right to left, we can move up and down, and we can push our feet into the ground this way to create kind of a rotation. And if you're ever on cross-country skis or any skis in general, and you start pushing your feet this way and sliding them on the ground, watch how your hips react. They react almost in the opposite direction of what you're going to think. So give that a shot.